Supreme Court recently struck down a 100-year-old law that restricted the carrying of concealed weapons in New York City. The decision eliminates the previous requirement that the gun owner must prove the need for having a concealed weapon in public for self-defense. Ranen asked ordinary New Yorkers and law enforcement professionals what they think of the recent changes in the law and how will they affect public safety in America.
Last week's Supreme Court ruling effectively allows New Yorkers and the residents of other major U.S. cities to legally carry guns on the streets without showing a proper cause for doing so. Here at the West Side Rifle and Pistol Range, the only public range in Manhattan, Darryl Leong, the owner, responds to this recent decision.
Any time that you can overturn a 100-year law that's on the books, it's a wonderful thing. That's an amazing thing, especially in the city of New York. I was actually pretty amazed by it, and I'm still pretty amazed by that. This is for all my fellow licensees. We are not the problem. You have nothing to worry about when you deal with a license holder.
Since the ruling, the gun range has seen an increase in interest.
It's been nonstop. Usually, you get a phone call here, you get a phone call there. But this is ringing off the hook. And people don't want to understand this concept I'm explaining. This does not give you the right to just all of a sudden have a carry license. You have to go through an application. You have to apply for a license. It doesn't happen overnight.
We are enraged.
The likely surge in weapons on the streets worries many residents of New York City.
It's terrifying. And I've said this, I've lived through the pandemic. I would never leave New York, but this is one reason why I would take pause. And as an Asian American, where we've also had a lot of bias attacks against Asians, I'm terrified. I'm really terrified.
Do you think if people are, more people are carrying guns in New York, people are going to be on edge even more so than they even are now?
The possible increase in guns on the streets of New York is also of concern to its mayor, Eric Adams.
We cannot allow New York to become the wild, wild west. That is unacceptable. We will not allow our city to live in fear that everyone around us is armed and that any altercation could evolve into a shootout.
New York City's police department is the largest in the United States, with approximately 36,000 officers. How will this recent Supreme Court ruling impact them?
As a former New York City police detective, I can tell you split-second decisions are very difficult to deal with. And now we're going to have the added factor now to worry about weapons, whether or not this person is licensed or unlicensed, and whether or not he's a good guy or bad guy. It's putting too much on the police officer's plate. It's going to be challenging for New York City police officers.
According to the Small Arms Survey, U.S. civilians own more than 393 million guns. And with the new Supreme Court's decision, that number is only expected to rise.